I have a question for you. What would you say is the best price for an entry point tabletop wargame? For me, it's in the $60 to $70 range. Enough of a buy-in to feel substantial, but not so much that you question your life choices. I've been on a journey of self-reflection over the past year, spurred on by colossal price increases and repeated disrespect towards long-term customers. I realized along the way that I spend too much on this hobby, and I want an affordable alternative that's easy to paint in a short amount of time. And so we come to the main subject of this video, Patrol Angis by Alternative Armies. I'm Ray, and this is Raypunk Gaming. Won't you join us? Alternative Armies has a selection of miniatures for nearly every setting. Fantasy, science fiction, even historical wargaming, and fantasy historical wargaming with their flintlock system. These minis scale from 28mm to 15mm and even 6mm. They even hold the rights to produce and distribute Laserburn, the grandfather of Rogue Trader and Warhammer 40,000. Written by the eternal chaos god, Brian Ansell. Released in 2015, Patrol Angis is a skirmish battle system designed for 15mm scale miniatures. The setting of Ion Age is more space opera as opposed to grimdark. Civil war has split the intergalactic kingdom known as the Prydian Precinct asunder. Its fate lies in the hands of three main factions: the Prydian Army, the League of Jordan, and the League of Kenlaster.
It is important to note that the creation of the Prydian army actually contributed to the rise of both Jordan and Kenlaster. Before the formation of the army, the Marcher Barons had little room for movement. They could hire mercenaries and police their own worlds, but the Star Vaulters kept them in check. Taking men and women from the planets of the Barons and giving them so much training in weaponry only stoked the fires of civil war. Certainly the hundreds of new regiments put down the rebels for several years, but then they became rebels themselves, as their loyalty was first to their baron, and not the throne. Granted, not all regiments abandoned the throne. Those that stayed loyal have done an excellent job of fortifying the whole Glastonbury system, which has kept us safe from the war up to this point. But we have very much been the architects of our own demise. We were warned by many, but we chose to ignore them all. Karl Jace got what he wanted, not by the means he planned, but by accident of design. Prydia is aflame, and none among us can stop it.
Lord Unbell, Council of the Adan, Glastonbury Tor, 4321. Patrol Angis fits fairly well within my qualifications of price point, scale, and ease of entry. At a tidy $76 or $69 on discount, you get 35 miniatures split into 2 armies with a rulebook and 3 starter scenarios. The Loyalist army in the starter set is a 22-man lance, or platoon, of the 43rd Knightly Regiment, led by Lord Balthazar and his second-in-command, Jerome. This lance features 2 10-man squads, or posts, retained post alpha and retained post beta. These troops are clad in titanium all-white power armor and wield the Angus semi-auto rifle firing 12.5mm rounds. In addition, each post contains a selection of special weapons. The second lance has pledged itself to the League of Jordan. It too features a post of knights, known as Retained Post Delta. The real cream of the crop for this army are the trio of Duxus battlesuits and the Espatin portable weapon platform. Deadly at range and even more so in close quarters, they represent an uphill battle for the Prydian loyalists. It'll take all their guile and skill as retained knights to bring these mechanized behemoths down. And last, we have the rulebook. A 64-page softcover featuring 80s-style interior art, lore on the setting, and the rules, with 3 pre-made scenarios to help newcomers acclimatize to the game system. Patrol Angis has in-universe names for squads and specific formations. This section of the video will be devoted to that, and may be returned to at any time. Two models in cohesion are classified as a stick or mina. This is commonly used for command sections, as with Lord Balthazar and Jerome here. 4 models in cohesion are classified as a fire team or demi. 5 models are classified as the same. 3 models are classified as a reduced fire team or demi. This commonly occurs when a fire team has suffered casualties in combat. 10 models are considered a squad or post. 8 models are considered a reduced squad or post. 2 posts with a command stick are referred to as a lance. This is called a portable weapon troop element. And these are called an infantry-sized vehicle troop element. Remember, you can refer back to this section in the video if need be. This section will be devoted to the rules of lance composition and the points values represented by each army in the box. 4 troops are a demi, led by a varlet. 2 demis plus a command element of 2 is called a post, led by a jupan. 2 posts plus a command element of 2 is called a lance, led by a knight. You must obey the following rules when assembling a lance of retained knights. It must contain 22 miniatures, or their equivalent, or less. 1 miniature must be nominated as commander of the platoon. There may be no more than 4 portable weapons with crew in a platoon. There may be no more than 6 infantry-scale vehicles in a platoon. Retained of all infantry types must wear Mark V all-white armor unless otherwise listed. The Carwenin, Angus pistol, and Angus rifle are retained-only weapons. Retained may never use a Moth Type 6 rifle or Moth Type 8 pistol. Retained may be in a mixed lance with muster troops, but must always be in command. There are points values assigned to each model in the roster, found on page 48 of the rulebook. These are recommended if you want to have a more balanced game. The first lance is priced out at 390 points, with 22 models. 2 10-man posts of retained knights at 150 points each. Jerome and Balthazar, retained nobles, 45 points each. The second lance is priced at 657 points with 16 models. Unbalanced, yes, but this comes into its own with the scenario packs. 1 10-woman post of retained knights, 150 points. 3 Duxus battlesuits, priced at 140 points each. 2 Ispatin retained gun crew, 16 points each. Ispatin gun platform, 55 points. Patrol Angis uses the 1-hour title system for table size. This system uses 30 cm by 30 cm squares, in a grid. For the purposes of these videos, we're going to round up to a 12-inch by 12-inch square. A small game of Patrol Angis is commonly played on a 60 cm by 60 cm field, or 2 foot by 2 foot, while a large game is played on 120 by 120, or 4 foot by 4 foot. Like all tabletop wargames, troops in Patrol Angis have set movement distances. In the case of our retained knights, they can move 12 centimeters, or 4.7 inches on foot. Conventional movement is affected by terrain, with the following modifiers. Please return to this point in the video if you need a refresher on terrain movement modifiers. Retained post-alpha is set before a light woods terrain feature. If I want to move them through it, I must follow the rules pertaining to light woods. You measure distance at the middle of the troop element, specifically the command model. As you can see, the knights would normally be able to cross the distance unimpeded, but since there are light woods in between them and their goal, they must reduce movement by 2 centimeters per 1 centimeter traveled. The woods are 10 centimeters across at their thinnest, so the knights start their movement with 2 centimeters unimpeded, then must travel 2 centimeters for every 1 centimeter traversed. Since this is light woods, they can only travel an additional 5 centimeters, and therefore must halt their movement 5 centimeters into the woods. The retained knights, however, carry a special piece of traversal equipment called jump jets, which permit double their usual movement speed with no limitations based on terrain. So if I wanted to, I could use the jump jets to bypass the woods entirely, at a distance of 24 centimeters. It must be said that retained knights are only allowed use of the jump jets twice per game, for fuel considerations. In addition, you are only allowed to use the jump jets once per turn, so be sparing with their use. Dukes' battlesuits, being vehicles, have a better range of movement at 18 centimeters. Like the retained knights, they must obey the rules of terrain modifiers. With their slightly better range, the Dukes' vehicle formation can just make it out of the woods. This Aspaton gun platform and its crew have a specific set of rules allocated to them. The platform itself has a movement speed of 6 centimeters and has an anti-gravity field, while the crew has a movement speed of the usual 12. What this means in practical terms is that the gun platform can move over any terrain as if it were normal, unless it's a steep hill or rubble. In that case, they must pay twice the stated rate for moving through said terrain, which means it can only travel 2 centimeters a time on a steep hill or rubble per turn. The standard rules apply for keeping formation, so you can't run your crew ahead of the gun. You need to keep them together. The next video in this How to Play series will focus on the turn sequence and advanced rules. The basic structure of a turn is thus: Initiative and Activate phase, Combat Course of Action phase, Support phase, and finally, Endgame phase. We'll go over the use of terrain and cover in-game, along with special weapons and advanced rules that augment certain character models. Until next time, this is Ray from Raypunk Gaming signing off. Have a good day.